Hi guys, it's Frankie from Frankie Tech. Good to see you guys again, and I'm here to share my comparison between the Xiaomi Mi 11 and the Vivo IQOO 7. Now, I've pitted these phones against each other in the Antutu throttling test, but in today's video, I want to go through some of the key specs where these phones differ, and then share my camera comparison between the Mi 11 and the IQOO 7. And for 3,999 RMB versus 3,798 RMB, these are the best value Snapdragon 888 phones that you can buy, but which one is best? Let's have a look. So we've talked previously about the design, 8mm 196 grams versus 8.7mm 209 grams. And guys, in this category, the Mi 11 is just a step above what the IQOO 7 is offering. This is a nice, well-built phone, but let's face it, the Mi 11's design is just so much more sleek and so much more beautiful. If you're going for a sleek premium flagship look, then the Mi 11 is your choice. But don't get me wrong, the Vivo IQOO has its own kind of look, and if you pick up the BMW version, it has a very distinct look as well. The bezels on these phones look very modern, and there is the advantage of the IQOO 7 having a flat display, but even still, I give the design edge here to the Mi 11. It's just a step above what you're getting with this IQOO 7 overall. In terms of display, 6.81 inch versus 6.62 OLED displays, but the big difference here, obviously, WQHD on the Mi 11 versus Full HD Plus on the IQOO 7. Both displays are 120 Hz, and you'll appreciate that buttery smooth feel on both of these phones. The one advantage the IQOO 7 has is that it is a flat panel display, but that doesn't change the fact you're getting more resolution, you're getting a brighter, more beautiful display, and the banding that you notice here is much more prevalent on the IQOO 7 than the Xiaomi Mi 11. I think design and display are the key areas where the Mi 11 just surpasses what the IQOO 7 has to offer. And if you want one of the best displays on any smartphone to date, pick up the Mi 11. And that goes for DRM Info as well. The Mi 11, the China version here with L1 out of the box, and that's why watching content on the Mi 11 is just going to be a better experience overall. Pick up this phone if you value HD Netflix support out of the box. And so it might seem at this point the IQOO 7 is out for the count, but not so fast. The IQOO 7 punches back here in performance. We have Snapdragon 888 on both of these phones, but right now, in my experience, guys, the IQOO 7 is delivering the better performance than the Xiaomi Mi 11. And you also saw from my overheating test that this phone stayed a little bit cooler than the Mi 11 in that very grueling test. And in gaming and in benchmarks, I definitely have noticed that this phone just pushes it to the limit, but it also does restrict a bit more than the Xiaomi Mi 11, while the Mi 11 just went for it in the last test and dropped a lot in its Antutu score as a result. Both phones are using DDR5 RAM, 8 versus 12 gigs for these units, but the Mi 11 does have a 12 gig option, and you have UFS 3.1 on both phones. And in terms of software, we've also covered the new Origin OS here on the IQOO 7, which I've said is a big step above what we used to have on Vivo phones with FunTouch OS. But does that mean that it goes toe-to-toe with MIUI 12 on the Xiaomi Mi 11? That's going to be a whole nother video, guys, that I'm going to be doing very soon, so stay tuned for that, and I will be putting these softwares against each other. Overall, though, day-to-day experience of both of these phones is terrific. Both phones running Android 11 out of the box with ultra-fast, ultra-fluid performance. You're going to have a great time in terms of software on both of these phones. In terms of battery life, we have a 4,600 mAh capacity on the Xiaomi Mi 11 versus 4,000 on the IQOO 7. And guys, since my review of this phone, I will tell you the screen on times have not been as good as I expected. The phone does run down quite a bit when you're using it, and I think the realities of having a 4,000 mAh battery just to achieve those faster charging scores is where it's hurting this phone, especially if you're running full HD at 120 Hz. But I get the counter argument. It doesn't matter because this phone charges up in 15 minutes while you're waiting 45 minutes for the Mi 11. So it's going to come down to your personal preference. What do you value more, a larger battery or faster charging? We can kind of split the win here in terms of battery between these two phones, but personally, I would have much preferred to see a slightly larger battery pack, maybe even 4,500 milliamperes on this IQOO 7, and if that meant that it charged from 0 to 100 in only 30 minutes, I would have been happy with that. And talking about fingerprint scanners, very fast performance on both the Mi 11 here and the IQOO 7. You see it there. They come in almost instantaneously and are two of the fastest fingerprint scanners that I've ever used on any phone. But in vibration motor, I give the edge to the Mi 11. It just has one of the best haptic feedbacks of any phone I've ever tested. While the IQ7's is good, but it's more kind of previous gen in terms of its experience. And in terms of audio, dual speakers on these phones. And if you've seen my speaker test from the IQ7 review, you will know that this phone punched well above its weight in terms of sound, clarity, and just went toe-to-toe with the Mi 11. I still give the edge though to this phone, and with dedicated speakers both top and bottom, you're going to have an incredible listening experience on this Xiaomi Mi 11. And lastly, the cameras. We have a 108 megapixel primary camera on the Xiaomi Mi 11 versus 48 megapixel on the IQ7. But what does the IQ7 have that the Mi 11 doesn't have is the telephoto. And that makes for zoom shots that are just more crisp and just better because of the 2x optical zoom capabilities of this phone. It's probably the one area where the IQ7 has an advantage in terms of cameras. And on the fronts, we have 16 megapixel versus 20 megapixel on the Mi 11. Both phones capable of shooting 4K, but the Mi 11 does it at 60 FPS versus 30, and the Mi 11 is also capable of 8K 30 FPS video recording. But you know what? It all comes down to the camera samples. So how do these phones stack up in terms of camera quality? Have a look at these samples and let's talk about them when we get back. This is rear-facing video on the Xiaomi Mi 11 and the Vivo IQOO shooting in 4K on both of these phones. Beautiful blue sky day here in Hong Kong. Gonna walk around for a little bit, see stabilization looks really good on both phones. But hit me up in the comments, what do you think? And this is front-facing video on the Mi 11 and the IQOO. Pretty pink cast on the IQ7. Don't know what's going on there. Maybe I'll turn around, see if that'll help the white balance a little bit. Well, that did a little bit. But much more natural colors here on the Mi 11. Pretty strange to see that happen. But hit me up in the comments. What do you think? So guys, when I went out to do this camera comparison, I thought that the IQ7 was going to go toe-to-toe and maybe even surpass the Mi 11 in a lot of shots. I think for the telephoto shots, it definitely has the more crisp and more detailed shots, but the Mi 11, in my opinion, in both stills and especially in video, just has the edge. Man, the video on the IQ7 had this pink hue to it. It just did not look good, while the Mi 11's mics and video quality were just on another level. And so I guess this proves that despite having that telephoto camera, I would still prefer to have the main camera from the Xiaomi Mi 11 than the one on the Vivo IQOO. And so that's it, guys, for this comparison and my final verdict between these two phones. Let's cut to the chase here. If I could only pick one of these phones to use moving forward, which would I pick? Well, it's gonna be none other than the Xiaomi Mi 11. And the reason being, guys, there's so many factors about the Mi 11 that I feel just separated from the IQOO, despite the better performance, the terrific charging capabilities, and really solid dual speakers. The Mi 11 just wins in terms of design. The incredible display performance is still solid, although we are having overheating issues. I love MIUI 12 and the way it performs, and while Vivo with Origin OS has definitely made that gap between these two much smaller, I still think the Xiaomi Mi 11 with this software performs beautifully, buttery smooth, and it's a terrific experience. Dual speakers being so close, but the Mi 11 edges it out with clarity, and then in cameras, I would still prefer to have the main camera from this Mi 11 over the IQOO. And so all in all, the IQOO makes a valiant effort here to dethrone the Xiaomi Mi 11 as the best affordable flagship phone so far of 2021, but I'm gonna have to give it here to the Mi 11. It still ticks all the boxes for me, and in my opinion, is still the best flagship Snapdragon 888 phone on the market. But hit me up in the comments. Which of these two phones would you pick? And to be honest, guys, I did not think the IQOO would get this close to the Mi 11 in a head-to-head comparison. They've come a long way, and I can't wait to see what Vivo comes up with next. But which would you pick? Hit me up in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. And that's it for this video. If you liked it, give me that thumbs up. And if you love the content of Frankie Tech, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon for future updates. So what does this mean for the IQOO? Is it going back to the store so soon? We shall see, guys. But I must applaud Vivo. They've created a really great product here on this phone. And it's been great being able to review this Vivo IQOO and bringing Vivo back to the channel once again. So that's it. And this is where I leave you by saying, this is Frankie Tech signing off. Have a good one. Xiaomi Mi 11. You're just too good. You're just too good.